Where's Rigby?
And that's what family's for.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Rigby's father.
No, I'm Rigby's father, and this little stink took my car.
What? Two dads?
Dude, how are we supposed to know which one's your real dad? I don't know. Well, go on, Rigby. Which one of us is your dad? Just ask him a question. Don't worry, I'll be taking over this. How are you? Just a guy who makes TV theories every so often. So, I got a couple questions for you. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Animated Cartoon Conspiracy, where today I'll be figuring out why Rigby exactly has two fathers. And this situation is less like what Poe had to go through when he figured out he had two fathers. And this technically isn't the first theory that we had on Regular Show. That theory was about replacing the acid trip theory. If you haven't heard about that, you should probably go watch it right now. But Regular Show has been a popular show since it came out on Cartoon Network, premiering alongside other great shows like Adventure Time and becoming one of the longest running shows on the channel. And I have such a high appreciation for this show because this was it when I was younger. I love this jokes, I love this storytelling, and I also love the TV specials that it would have, like the Christmas specials, especially the Halloween specials, but also the Thanksgiving special, because not only did it give us a memorable song for the Thanksgiving holidays,
when we come together on Thanksgiving,
but it also opened up a whole lot of questions pertaining to Rigby's father. If you're a fan of Regular Show like I am, then you probably would have seen the Thanksgiving special when it first aired back in 2013. And make sure you save that date because it's going to become pretty important later. But in this episode, Mordecai and Rigby try to get a turducken, a special bird for Thanksgiving for their family to eat. But the only way to get this turkey was through a singing contest between all of the other musicians in a singing competition. But at the very end, where all hope looks lost, their family is able to show up even though their flights were supposed to be canceled. But this is where we see Rigby's father for the first time, and this wasn't a big thing when the episode had first premiered, because it wasn't until seasons later, in season 7, episode 27, that we're reintroduced into Rigby's father. Mind you, we didn't meet this version of his father until 2016, a total of 3 years later within the continuity of the show. And this version of Rigby's father is way different than the one we met in Thanksgiving. The first version of Rigby's father, father number 1, happens to be a lot kinder, wears a pair of glasses, and seems a lot more slender compared to the second iteration of the father, which is Father B. Father B, or the second version of Rigby's father, happens to be more stout, has a messier mustache compared to the first one, and is much more angry. Not only is this a visual difference, but it's also a personality change. And upon meeting both of them, Rigby doesn't seem to act any different towards them. To Rigby, both of them seem to be his real father. He doesn't treat them any other way. But it could very well be because of a time paradox. As much as Regular Show deals with time paradoxes, I tried to look into all the different episodes that featured Mordecai and Rigby traveling through time. And if you know Regular Show, they travel through time a lot. And I mean a lot. Even to the point where I had to go back and rewatch all the episodes just to figure out which ones are most likely to help with this theory. And I thought that I finally had stumbled upon one episode that could piece this all together. That being the episode titled The Bad Kiss, which was a part of season 3 and aired around 2013. In this episode, Mordecai tries to fix a bad kiss that he had with Margaret. He had a case of the bad breath. But even so, Rigby tries to help with the time machine that he had bought beforehand, and they go back in time using it. And a whole bunch of Regular Show stuff happens, but at the end of the episode, Mordecai and Rigby choose to destroy the time machines, leaving the timeline unaltered from before. Either meaning that they created an alternate timeline when destroying it, or everything actually remained unchanged in the same timeline. In either case, Rigby doesn't go far back enough in time in order to actually change any major events. So could it be another type of time paradox? Possibly, but we have to look at this film first, the Regular Show movie. Regular Show happened to be one of those new age Hall of Famers that was able to get a film attached to their TV series. In the first 15 minutes of the film, they are altering time once again, where an older version of the park crew are stopping an evil Mordecai. And literally everybody gets taken out except for Benson and Rigby. Benson sacrifices his life so Rigby can go back in time and fix all of this mess. When Rigby goes back in time, he tasks his even younger self to go finish the mission to change their future. But within the film, it turns out that Rigby had to go even further back in time to stop himself from changing Mordecai's acceptance letter from college. But it's at this point where we figure out that Father B is actually the father that we see in this film, not Father A. We see that this is the harsher, more meaner, more less accepting father that we're not introduced to until 2016. This got me wondering, when exactly did the Regular Show movie come out? What if I told you it would behoove you that the Regular Show movie actually released in 2015, a whopping 2 years after we see the first version of Rigby's father, but only a year before we see the second version of Rigby's father. So could it be that Rigby messed up something within the past that altered his father to change into a different person? Something like the butterfly effect, like one small thing that Rigby had changed in his own past that changed his future. But it'd probably be disappointed to know that none of that actually matters, because we see that Rigby doesn't actually go far enough in that past to even change the future, because Rigby only goes back around 15 years into the past. And if Rigby was supposed to go back around 15 years, that couldn't possibly mean that his original father had changed at all. So this in fact actually proves that Rigby's real father is Father B, the harsher, less approving version of Rigby's father. But what if I told you the nettily diddly do version of Rigby's dad also has an explanation for why he's there? Could it be clones or maybe something else? Well, before I actually tell you, I want to hear your comments down below. Tell me what you think before I spill the cheese, man. You got it? Answers locked in? Good. Let's analyze the Father A version of Rigby's dad. Like before, notice how slim and neat this version of Rigby's father is. His broomstick mustache is combed to perfection. He wears glasses to show how neat and proper he is. If you actually check out his body language, you'll notice that he's much more nervous. And this doesn't even look like the type of nervous that would make you think, this guy really doesn't want to talk in front of people. No, this version of nervousness actually looks like he's trying to hide something. People often give off two different types of body language when they're shy or nervous. And as the saying goes, 80% of language is through body language. If a person was more shy, they probably wouldn't be the first one to try to open the door. They'd probably be slower to speak, or if anything, not speak at all. But no, this version of his nervousness actually looks and sounds like he's actually hiding something. And if this is already confirmed not to be the original version of his father, who is this person? Who is this imposter? Who is this version of Rigby's father that no one else has met before? Wait, maybe that's it right there. Maybe, just maybe, well maybe, just maybe, this is actually a family member who is posing as Rigby's father. And we don't even have to look at the karate match episode, where we can actually see a multitude of Rigby's family watching a karate match. No, in fact, the person that is posing as Rigby's father, Father A, is in fact Don, Rigby's brother, his better, smarter, and more lovable brother. The first time we're actually introduced to Don, he is nice to everyone, including Rigby, who treats him mean. But after this first time of us meeting him, he actually slightly suffers from nervousness. We actually hear this from Don himself, where he talks about he couldn't really be himself until he shed his clothes like his brother, which actually means that Rigby is somewhat running around the world nude, but that's another topic for another day. But even when you look at how Don's nervousness affects him, he is shy in the manner that shows that he doesn't want to mess anything up. And this is the same feeling that Father Number A gives off when we first meet him in the Thanksgiving episode. And that's not all. Don even matches the physical profile of Father A, being slim, way taller than his peers, and being neat to boot. Like, have you seen this man's house? But it all makes sense in the end, because this right here is the total picture. Rigby's father skipped out on Thanksgiving, and when Rigby and Don figured out that their father wasn't going to be joining them for the Thanksgiving dinner with all of their friends, Don knew that he wasn't going to be invited. So Don dressed up like him and Rigby's father, so that way he could spend time with Rigby and not have him feel so bad about their father not being there. And there's no way Rigby's real father would have gone to that Thanksgiving dinner anyways, because he and Rigby didn't actually make up until the 2016 episode where Rigby took Eileen to prom. So that's it. That's the theory right there. Rigby's father skipped out on a family Thanksgiving dinner because he didn't like Rigby at the time. So Rigby's brother Don, not going to be invited anyways, tried to dress up as his father so that way he could get into the Thanksgiving party to chill with his little brother and pretend to be his own father. Yep, and if you haven't seen the other Regular Show theory, this one's actually about the Regular Show acid theory. So if you haven't heard of that, you might want to go check that out, because not only do I add my own theories, we go over another theory that previously existed before that. But if you're not into either of those, you can of course watch any of the two videos that's on screen right now. Want to know what the end of bending would look like? Click right here. And if you want to see who's the true Vilma to rule them all, check the other video right there. Oh, and by the way, this is where I would put Thank you to our patrons. Instead of using Patreon, I've opted to use Ko-fi. It pretty much does the same thing as Patreon, and right now we have 2 different tiers. The first tier is currently $5, where you get your name shouted out right here for helping to produce another episode on the channel. And of course, there's also a $10 tier, where you might get some behind the scenes and inside coverage on some of the videos that we make here and other places. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you click the link below that says Ko-fi/TheDedicatedArtist. So again, thanks for watching another video of Animated Cartoon Conspiracy. Make sure to hit that notification bell to be notified of all of our videos here. And of course, I'll see you later in another video. Bye-bye!